Greetings, Marsh here, and welcome to episode 202 of my modded Factorio playthrough. In this episode, we're going to build our rubber setup and start producing some. Enjoy. So the question is, where do we want to put this? It can go anywhere. And the rubber is such a low-use component that it's perfectly fine being on drone, so we don't have to put it right next to our bus here. Well, as far as all of the chemicals, there's two locations. One of them is right here, so we can just have the pipes going straight into this machine, which would save us essentially 3 drone depots and all the relevant pipes, and it's near water, which is all nice. The other method is to put it down here where stone processing and chemical processing is, because we would need to send a drone in and out in here, but I kind of like the idea of just putting it up here, because these pipes are right here, water's right there, and it should work. So, looking good. We'll grab it. And I don't know if drones can go out there. It looks like they mostly can. Not quite, but I mean, we can change that. Seems like it's mostly good, but I'll just put this here. And to be nice on the robots, let's give them some parking spots. Close enough. Well, we have all of this. It's still possible that we would need to burn these chemicals. They would just be controlled individually. So I still want to use this. So let's see if we can copy it, and yeah, we can just grab this part of it. That's all the functional components of it. And then we'll place it later. And inadvertently getting rid of some of these old pipes, which is fine. So we have our setup, and we can't flip it because Factorio reasons. So if we're going to line one of these up, it would be really nice if this pipe would just go straight through. I don't know. Let's see. Which one is that? Well, it's the ethane, and I think the ethane's on the top. So it would be like right here. But it's not super important that all the pipes be perfectly straight. So we'll drop that there. I mean, there's a nice little spot for it, so we'll use it. And robots are going to take their time getting here. Let's see if we can get these pipes lined up. And maybe squint really hard at the icons. Because this one is this right here. Slightly less pipe, I guess, if we do it like this. And that one goes up here. So the steam has to go into all these things. But it would actually make a lot of sense if it came from the bottom. Hey, nice of you guys to join. So I think it can go right here. There we go. And I'll just move this. Right there, so it's lined up. We do need to kind of have a bit of a buffer here, because it is one problem when you have an assembling machine supplying 2 different locations, because the resources can kind of get prioritized to one side or the other, and then the other side won't get them. So we probably should have some logic on how about the input side. That'll make sure that the outputs are always full, and if these catalysts get prioritized to one side or the other, it won't really matter, because there will be enough to fill up both supply sides. We'll just need to make sure to give it enough to do that. Let's see, they don't have the items available. I guess that's because we have them in our inventory here. That is one problem with moving it like that, is that if you don't have every item available, the robots get a little confused. Someday we'll have a personal roboport, which will be really nice, and in fact, it's probably not that far away, because once we have green circuits, we'll be able to upgrade our power armor. And the limiting factor there is just having enough power, solar panel space, basically, so if our inventory is bigger, that should really help out. Okay, all these are hooked up to a minimum extent. Now we need to handle the drones. There is a drone path up here, But I kind of worry that getting all the items across the science bus is probably not the smartest idea. So I'm thinking, let's use this path here. And just kind of build us some extra space here with some landfill. Of course, we have a limited amount of landfill on hand, but hopefully we get some more from the robots. But the landfill is actually kind of far away, so maybe not. Might take them quite some time. More pipes getting processed. Kind of wonder if we should have a more involved setup than this to handle these extra items we don't use anymore and we just want to trash. But we'll worry about that later. It seems to be mostly working as is. So there's a ton of road in one of these. There we go. That is a ton. I don't think we need that much, but we'll just grab it. Well, everything but one square, because we do need to get our landfill, and actually, it's a situation to teleport, because we can just do this. And then the landfill is pretty close. Of course, the robots are probably like, what are you doing, making us do all this work for nothing? There. See, you helped. Although, you didn't fill it up. And back. So, that is nice. It's kind of annoying dealing with the interface, though, because it takes up so much space otherwise. More trees the robots can help with. It's starting to get nice where a lot of the factory is actually covered by construction bots now. So if you keep placing things down, eventually you'll start getting decent coverage of all of that. So we need to make a road, and I think I normally make them 4 tiles wide. It should be this right here. And how about... yeah, let's just put it on the end here. And that so happens to be where the pump is. So we can just work with this. There's a lot of things that have to be hooked up here. And let's just place them right next to each other for space. But one of these needs to grab aluminum. And one of them needs to grab the silver. And the rate will be so slow that I'm sure 1 drone each will be just fine. So 1 and 1. And how are we doing with fuel? Also, as far as that's concerned, I think we are putting enough fuel depots around where they don't have to travel too far, because you see we place this and they're already trying to fill it up, so it's not too bad. I think I decided just to use unloaders for depots. It seems fair enough. So we got that there. We're also going to have the synthesis gas and also the naphtha, which is conveniently being produced right here. So, no drone for that. Man, look how long those pipes are now. It's definitely nice. Of course, the exact wrong length right there. And these are lined up in kind of an odd way. So we can do something like that. And I think this is just a pressure pump. Yeah. Which gets us our naphtha, and look at that, it's starting the process here. A little bit anyway. And we do need to hook up that backup method of burning all those away, but we'll worry about that later. Let's see, the next one is probably this right here. Let's double check here. Our fluid depots used for requests. I think they're used for supplies that they don't request. That it's kind of weird, but a fluid depot is for a supply of chemicals. If you want to request liquids, that's actually done with the regular request depot. So it's kind of weird how that works. It's also kind of weird how it picks up the tile there. I guess that makes sense because it's doormat right there is needed. We do want some logic, as we do on all of these things. At least when they're byproduct supplies. And is this a situation where we can't connect this? Yeah. We also can't hook a wire up to this either. You have to use the reader. So it's kind of dumb, but it just goes straight across. Basically, we want an entire drone's worth, and how many drone upgrades do we have now? It's kind of hard to remember. So I guess we're on number 2. The upgrade number 2, which means I think they start with 200, so that means they would be up to 600 now. So we have to make super sure we're using the right thing. Hydrogen fluoride gas. There you go, hydrogen fluoride. You either love or hate it when it comes to Angel Bob's petrochemicals. I think it's pretty cool, but it's also, in a way, kind of monotonous. It's not building it monotonous, but you just have to be super careful that all these pipes are the right chemicals, because otherwise your whole setup can be messed up real fast. I mean, it's not like the chemicals mix or anything. It's just you planned for a certain setup and then the chemicals don't mix and you have to fix things. So that can get annoying. But there's that. And then we have this guy, which is pointed the wrong direction. But can these long pipes just jump over all this? Oh, yeah. I kind of don't like that in a sense because you're basically layering pipes on top of each other, which can be difficult to track, especially when you have like pipe visualizer like that, but it works. Now that we know the location of this pipe here, we can kind of line up with it. So we put our request depot here. Although I think it's hydrofluoric acid that we need as the input. I mean, that makes sense if hydrogen fluoride gas is the output. Probably should get rid of that other depot to get rid of the flashing, because otherwise it might be giving a warning here. But, well, I guess bots could do it. It would just take them forever because there'd be so many items in here. You see like 31,000 bricks. It's so much stuff, but I mean, that's kind of what bots are for. Dealing with monotonous things you'd rather not deal with. So, look at that. Is that all the bots? Pretty much, and they didn't even make a dent. Oh well. They'll get the job done. I don't think we're going to need them for anything else here, so they have the time to do it. Wonder where they're headed off to. So, we've got this right there. Lots of things getting lined up. You know, I'm beginning to think that this is all set up correctly. I don't know, I don't want to celebrate too soon. But, okay. Then we have this that needs to get rid of the extra chemicals. We can still put it here. We're just going to have to line up all the pipes properly. We don't want it to be so close it connects those power lines, though. Just enough to work. Although we do need to have storage tanks in here and whatnot. Which does make this a little compact. So, how about we actually just place it all the way out here? Because then we can get that taken care of properly. Rather than squishing it in there. So yeah, we could just kind of put that on the end. And then we need to get these sent the correct direction, but it doesn't work like that because there's a pipe right there. That one goes over there, and then this last one can be right there. And we'll line up the pipes. And let's use some big tanks. You can just kind of put them right there. And just slam the pumps right in the middle. And those hold 50,000, so we'll say if whatever you have is over 40,000, you can turn on and burn it. And we'll still have this set up here to actually only connect it if these things are hot enough. That way these tanks can also kind of function as buffers for the rest of the system. And out of pipes. Where are the robots? Well, I guess I'm out of the logistics network here. Fine. I don't care. I'll use ghosts. More trees. Okay, we have the positions of those pipes. So we need to be aware that we're also producing it out here to get burned. The ethane and butane. So we need to hook those up. And in fact, it might be a little future thinking to just request all three gases. So we can have this be the repository of them. Even if we're not currently making all three. So I gotta like double check which one's which. I think it's this one. Methane. Ethane. And the butane. With one in each. Let's make sure all these pipes are lined up, although they're not quite lined up for going this direction as well. So that's kind of an oops. Well, that turned out to be less clean than I was planning on. But I think it's mostly lined up. Let's see, hydrofluoric acid. Doesn't look like that's on the list here. Interesting that raw gas is. Now, is that because, yeah, it's being sent up here as a potential output? And that's to send it up here. Yeah. And it's full. Okay, but the hydrofluoric acid isn't on here. And neither is the gas. So here's the hydrofluoric acid. Gotta follow that pipe or use the pipe visualizer. Either or. But it looks like it's going up here, which is where it enters. I guess you call it the pipe bus. Well, we need to get some of that in here. So we'll do the supply depot with the reader-writer trick. Hydrofluoric acid has to be bigger than 1 drone's worth. And it has turned it on. Oh, man. Wow. Wow. They're still going. This is so bad. Well, you might say this is a test of the bot network. I don't think they're getting stuck anywhere. It's just so much stuff they have to move. They're just doing what they can. Man. But I think they're working. They're doing their thing. And a drone was sent for that. We also need the gas on the other side, so it's going to be not quite lined up here. We can use the hydrogen fluoride gas right here. So we'll do the hydrogen fluoride. One drone. Just took it up, so it uses everything. That's just so nuts. There's a lot of drones just sitting right here. That's why I probably should have done that myself, but they are working to get the job done. And I don't know if it'd be faster to fly up there, but let's try the teleporter. Let's fly all the way up here. It's been a while. To the crystal manufacturing. So we can try to make better use of those gas products rather than just burning them. So we no longer need any of this. And I guess we don't need any of this here either. Kind of want to get rid of these poles just so I'm not staring at those wires and wondering what they're there for. And the space is a little narrow in here. But we can make it work by doing something kind of like that. And we need 2 depots in here. They're kind of positioned in a weird way, and these are all power poles that are connected, which is kind of annoying. But I think we can just do this instead. And we just hook this up to an anything. And say greater than 600 for both sides. And there we go, that ought to supply gases from this setup. And now, if everything is set up correctly, we should have consolidated all of the gases into this one setup. So we can pump out a little bit of rubber if we need to. It's kind of worth seeing. Do we need to do the tree method as well? Or will this work fine? We do have a process to seed. These are the kind of things that are probably worth putting on a bus, but they also don't take that much to process. And you make 10 of them at a time, so it's not too big a deal. But let's like put 100 in each side and see what happens. Let's see, this one is running. It's very slowly getting what it needs. However, this one is short on the ethylbenzene. And this one still needs its hydrofluoric acid. And it says 1, so it means the drone is on the way. Oh, and there it is. Just in time. Guess we do need to hook this up as well. That would have been really nice to do right there. But it can also just kind of run across here as well. And the rider to make sure it's not sending needless drones. And since the rate is slow, we can just use 1/2 of one belt. Okay, we're starting to see some fluids. Although this one should basically be empty. Because we don't have one for residual gas. I'm starting to regret squeezing it over here. Oh well. I'm just trying to use the water for here, but I probably shouldn't have. And just had all of them be along a road. That made sense, but it's too late for that now. We're committing to this. Anything has to be more than 600. Pretty sure we don't have that on the network either. So let's make sure it has somewhere to go. Well, it's getting used by this machine. So putting one more in there. Asking for residual gas ought to work. And I think that's all of the components. Now we just need to check to see what kind of output we're actually going to get from this when we are researching, because researching is probably going to be the thing that supplies most of the gases. Specifically, it has to be blue research. Well, one dump could be all of these smelting types, but I really don't want to do them right now until I can actually talk about them. I did just update some of the mods, and there seems to be some different things here, but it could also be I just didn't notice them before. Uses energy stored in batteries to power vehicles. So that's kind of like an electric vehicles thing, which I think I do have the electric vehicles mod, but that could be a different way of doing the same thing. Well, sure, why not? It's big research. It definitely seems like some of these things got moved around. Because I could have sworn we kind of went through here and basically grabbed everything. Well, we don't need them for biters right now, but might as well grab artillery. It's mostly something we can make. Not the remote, but otherwise we can make all that stuff. And it certainly is going to suck up 6,000. Well, actually 6,000 times 2 of each thing. So that's definitely going to be some research. 10 times theoretically stronger explosive shells for when dead isn't good enough. Sure. And distractor shells. Sure. I doubt I'm going to use that stuff anytime soon, because biters really aren't a problem. But, well, there's a couple things. So as it consumes both the naphtha and the fuel oil, there we go. It's going to start needing to make more, which is going to produce gas byproducts, which when there is too much of, it will start getting processed into the gas parts, and then this whole process will start up, since it can run exclusively on what's being produced here. And we have our two different methods. We're producing the naphtha. this primary way is limited, and the secondary way is using these gas condensates if there's any extras. So that's kind of how that works. There we go. We're starting to see stuff turn on. And yeah, again, this rate is going to be very slow, so there isn't going to be a whole lot to actually witness. It's just going to kind of keep clicking on every once in a while, and hopefully we'll start seeing a few pieces of rubber. Because we need a 0.03 rubber a second. So that's basically like a rubber a minute or something. So that is kind of what we'd be looking at least what our needs are. This could probably produce more, but it also kind of doesn't look like it will. I just want to see rubber come out the other side so we know that it's actually set up properly. Looks like it gets another burst. You can kind of see it go through the pipes. Let's see, is this one hooked up? It has naphtha, it has steam. Oh, it needs catalyst as well. That's interesting. Also makes a ton of sense. Okay. That's kind of tricky, but we can also basically just do it. I don't like inserting on corners, but based on this setup, we're gonna kind of need to. There we go. Oh, this is backwards. And there we go, it's giving us our little bursts. Of course, it probably had a bit of a backup, so it needs to go through that. But it's nice to see the rubber coming out. Well, we've got a tiny bit. And it's going. I would say this rate is a lot more than 0.03 per second. It's actually meaningfully producing some. So it's definitely going. Okay, well, we'll have to see how this works. You know, we don't need very much of this. And unfortunately, it's probably going to completely fill up a belt by trying to use it up. But we don't have any limiters on this supply depot, so it's going to completely fill it up. And that's probably fine because we need to store it somewhere as a buffer. And since it's being delivered by drone, it might as well be in the supply depot itself. So this seems pretty good. And since it's not running very fast, efficiencies should be okay for everything. Because I don't think productivities can fit in any of these. And hopefully these don't ever actually run. Because they're only meant as a last resort if we have too much. It seems like that's a healthy number of these catalyst frames because both these belts are filled and it'll just pull from whatever chest it has access to make more. Wow. Does that mean they're almost done? Well, it doesn't feel like it, but they are in the sense where it's not there anymore. So yeah, I think they are finally finishing their task. They're just trying to find places to charge and park. And I guess that makes sense because this is where they're trying to place them, so we're looking pretty good. And that's the end of this episode. On the next one, we're going to produce the other components that we need for green circuits. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.